Hey everyone, Andrew Reiner here. Today we got new specs on Microsoft's Project Scorpio, the third iteration of the Xbox One. I have Matt Bertz here and Dan Tack to kind of talk through what we got from these specs, what they mean or potentially could mean. We don't know necessarily how this is going to kind of shake out in the landscape of games at this point, but the initial impression is impressive. The numbers that were released by Digital Foundry earlier this morning point to it maybe being not just a new Xbox One, but maybe in that successor territory. Bertz, what do you think of these numbers here?
Yeah, it's certainly impressive. I think, they said from the beginning this is going to be their premium play. This is the luxury console version of the Xbox One. And when you look at those specs, that bears out. Digital Foundry got to go to Microsoft, check it out. They saw Forza running in 4K, 60 frames per second, and it's natively, we should add. And I mean, that's kind of a lot of people have been waiting for like cable television to get to that 4K to drive TV adoption. But I think what we're seeing is gaming is going to take that mantle. And the people that want to experience 4K content, consoles like this are probably their best choice.
And 4K has not really taken off. Yes, TVs are cheap. People are adopting, but they don't really care at this point of true 4K stuff. Like they like playing games. They like cheaper consoles, stuff like that. We don't know anything on Scorpio at this point as to how expensive it will be. Will there be exclusive games for it? Or is this just going to be kind of just for that elite graphic snob, people that want the most out of their TVs, that crowd, more than trying to move it forward? But the numbers definitely make it seem like it has the potential to maybe do something unprecedented in games of bridging the gap into a new console generation without actually having like an end gap and then moving forward. Tack, what's your take on these numbers here?
I mean, I don't think it's like some people are going as far as saying like, this is basically a next gen thing by itself, which I don't think so. My concern is actually going to be the price point. Like, even if it is the luxury console, if this is a complete guess, right? I'm saying like somewhere between 500, 650.
Whoa.
Those are where
Sony learned a hard lesson with PS3.
I know,
with that
right?
Kind of number.
Like, I just don't know how you're going to get away with what's in there for less. And maybe they will, which would be incredible. But then you're entering the territory, as the PC guy here, you might as well just get a PC, right? Because you can play all the Microsoft first-party games there anyway. Am I wrong? I mean,
no, you're totally not wrong. And those PCs are still more powerful than this.
Yeah, for sure. Like, you can get this. This is a really cool-looking console, definitely from a technical perspective, and that's all we have right now. Like, stronger than the PS4 Pro. Looks great on paper. But then when you bring price into it, especially for the console market, which is where, like, I just want to plug and play. I don't want to deal with all those PC components or anything like that. Who cares, right? What's under the hood? Just want it to look awesome and play awesome. But like when you start, I think we may run into outpricing the consumer here just based on these specs.
Yeah, we don't know. I mean, we really don't know what this thing's going to retail for. There are some benefits. We have not seen games running on this yet. We just heard secondhand that it runs at 4K native or whatever.
Yeah, and that's a racing
frames.
game, which has very defined parameters.
Sure.
Those are often the games that are used as technical showcases.
But we did hear better frame rates, faster load times for Xbox 360 and Xbox One games for certain games. It won't be every game.
Well, actually, I think they're trying to create a mandate for the super sampling and some of that stuff. So even if you're playing on a 1080 screen, they're going to try to drive performance so there isn't screen tear. You're gonna see a little bit of bump of performance, and load times are just going to be faster.
So where do we put this in? At this point, what we know, is it the same crowd as PS4 Pro? I mean, are we looking at this is the Microsoft alternative, although Xbox One S was kind of that already?
Yeah, it's a little more complete, I think, for a 4K early adopter. But, to me, this is a solution for a problem that doesn't really exist for Microsoft. I think they have bigger problems on the software front than they ever have had with the hardware, since they had to basically perform surgery to get rid of the Kinect, which was necessary.
Right.
But I mean, right now when I'm looking at Microsoft, I'm not like, oh, my Xbox One's not powerful enough. I'm like, where the hell are the first party games? There's nothing. You look at this calendar this year, it's embarrassing.
You have Crackdown, Sea of Thieves.
And there you go.
Below?
State of Decay 2, which is one that actually seems cool.
Excited. Yeah, I'm excited for that one.
Like when you look at what Sony's been doing with their first party, they're just, left and right they're hitting bombs. They have the Horizons and like stuff like that.
Microsoft doesn't even have Halo or Gears this year, which has kind of been they've been their fallback pretty much every holiday, right? So it is looking pretty bleak just for first party on Xbox One as is, and then you introduce a new console that supposedly will support these kind of experiences, but they're not there. Will third parties use it then, or are they just going to kind of hit that median line of we just want to make it work on everything, maybe even try to get it on the back end of Switch?
Like I agree completely with the Bertz here. Like this is a really awesome looking console from a technical standpoint, but what does it matter if you don't have, if you don't have the games? Then I'm not going to shell out for a new console unless there's cool stuff to play on it, right? And like right now, that's the problem, not the fact that I never feel like my console's not strong enough to play this, right?
And for someone like you, Tack, who you have a PS4, you're a predominantly PC player.
Absolutely.
I mean, what incentive is there to buy it when you can already play those games on your PC?
For me, there is none.
Yeah.
And again, this brings me back to my point. The only reason I ever bought a PS4 in the first place was for games.
Yeah.
That's the only reason I went there. Right.
Yeah.
If we want to be technical about it, it was Bloodborne. But I also found other great games on there as time went on. Like, I got to play Persona and some other stuff because of that. So that's what they need, not this awesome new hardware. But again, I want to stress, this is super cool looking, and hey, I'm all about more powerful, awesome hardware.
Yeah,
but
I hope it comes with a new UI too, though. God, I hate the UI for Xbox.
On that
They
note,
just launched a new one.
I know, it's even worse. I mean, my screen looks like it has a bunch of like footnotes all over the screen. Like it's just very ugly. I don't know.
On that note, I think it's actually a really cool thing that they are releasing the tech specs now instead of at E3, so that they can use their stage time at E3, ostensibly to talk about amazing killer first-party titles coming to Xbox.
Please. I love my
that's
Xbox.
a good idea, right?
Because more games for it.
As neat as these things are, like from a consumer standpoint, I can't imagine that they're getting excited about like, whoa, tech stuff. You show me some really cool games, I'll be like, okay, that's cool. Like especially on E3 stage, tech is like the least interesting thing ever.
Yeah.
Like you get up there, everyone just zones out.
Software drives tech,
right?
Not the other way around.
Well, here's the problem with that though. Like even when like Mark Cerny and Sony debuted the PS4 Pro, showing those videos, you really couldn't tell the difference, especially consumers who are watching it on the internet, right? It's not until you actually take it for a test ride on your 4K TV that you truly see what HDR does, or like the bumps in the frame rate, or the little sliders like you find in the show. You need to have it in your house. It's like you can't really experience VR until you put the headset on.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great comparison.
So even if they show stuff, even if they debut a new Halo, which I don't think is out of line for them,
It's pretty reasonable.
it's still going to play on Xbox One, right? Like, so they're going to have to show you why you need to upgrade, but they've already told you to upgrade to Xbox One S if you have a 4K display because you get UHD and some benefits. That fan base is now in kind of that Apple territory of, it feels like we're being pushed to upgrade every year. This is, what is this? 3 units in 4 years?
Yeah. But it also just creates more, for a new buyer, you have more options. And I don't think that's ever a bad thing.
No, that's not a bad thing. But if this is the future, if this is where they're putting their apples, we don't know if they are, right? Like it could just be Xbox One and that's where they're putting all of their pieces and it falls into these 3 different camps. Or I guess maybe the original Xbox might get phased out at some point. That would probably be a pretty good idea, given you have 2 models. Why have 3, since the S is kind of a lower end Scorpio, right? But yeah, it'll be interesting to see where they go. Again, consoles are defined by games, and they need games to really sell this thing. And right now, we're not seeing that. It's just
and I
specs.
think the price point is going to be a big deal too here. If they can get it down to console competitive, right, as a price point. I mean, I get it. This is a luxury unit, but still, like, there's sticker shock on this.
Will this drive the price of the S down? I think is another question.
Sure.
Will we see price breaks for the other consoles while this one just becomes that premium luxury experience?
And it could open the doors for VR too, of having a high end VR.
Yeah, there's no mention of VR today.
Yeah, but that could be, like you only get that on Scorpio, right? Like to truly do VR right, maybe they only do it on that one end of the higher end spectrum of their 3 consoles that are out there. So we don't know price. Tack, what was your guess on that?
500 to 600. I said 650 earlier, but I think again,
I think you're probably
500
right.
to 600 is the zone for what I see. Whether or not that can change with you know how tech works, man. Like everything gets cheaper as time goes on. So by the time we get to where this is out in the wild, maybe. But no, 500 to 600, somewhere in there.
You're probably right. I'm just going to give a different number for
Okay.
devil's advocate.
Do it.
450.
Yeah, right. I mean, hey, if they do it, great. But good luck.
Or maybe a 2-year plan like AT&T. You pay for it for 2 years.
It might be what they might have stuff like that offered. It doesn't seem.
It's not a bad idea,
Yeah.
actually.
A Game Pass, included with the high price. They could do stuff like that. They're pushing that new program.
And now I've seen executives from Microsoft tweeting out little GIFs and little images of emojis of scorpions. This thing probably won't be called Project Scorpio.
I hope not.
Do you guys have any guesses? Just so we can kind of go back and look at it, like when it is finally announced, probably at E3. What do you think this thing's going to be called?
Xbox Complete.
Y-Box.
Xbox 4K.
Xbox Ace.
Xbox Phoenix.
The Fabio.
Xbox Yeti.
Xbox Teraflop House.
Xbox Station Play.
Xbox Clear.
Xbox 3.14159. Pi.
The Xbox.
Xbox Fresh.
Xbox One Quantum. Now with 5 razor blades.
Xbox Platinum.
Xbox Chrome.
Xbox I have more RAM than you.
The Xbox X-Pac.
Xbox Merge. Because they're, PC, console together.
Oh, wow.
Strength, yeah.
Switch in the merge. Xbox Boost.
Xbox One, 2.
Xbox 2.
Xbox Infinite.
That's going to be it. It's going to be a freaking
That
green
sounds like it
infinity
could
sign.
be real. It's going to be really stupid.
Xbox Crush.
Xbox Eternity.
Xbox Extreme.
There you go.
With the X.
That
Yeah.
one that one comes with Mountain Dew and Cheetos.
Yep.
Yeah.
Xbox T-Rex.
Xbox Ladder.
The Xbox Kanye.
All right, so that's our brief discussion. We'd love to hear from you in the comments on what you think might be coming from the Xbox Scorpio. Still a lot of unanswered questions. This seems to be the song and dance with video games today. We hear about it, but we don't really learn about it until it's out now. At least that's what happened with Switch. Hopefully we get some answers at E3. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Wade Wojcik, in the control room. And again, thank you for watching. See you next time.